Great good evening and welcome to a power packed webinar on a very important topic, National Education Policy 2020. This policy holds the promise of changing the future of our nation in the coming years, right? One of the landmark policies which has a direct impact on lives and livelihoods on every single citizen in this country, be it a student, a parent, a educationist, and the entrepreneur or the people who give jobs. A policy which can take our country to the next level, which we have been talking about. And this is one of the few policies, like the other landmark judgments, which have come from this government. My name is Dr. Samir Karkhanis, and I'm the CEO of a global edutech company, Yangpo Executive Education, and I represent the Harvard Business School online in India with other Ivy League institutions. And I'm really honored and I'm privileged that Aditya Group of Institutions has given me this opportunity to curate this event and have such a phenomenal panel coming together today to guide our participants, our audience, which comprises of students, academicians, industry leaders, to really simplify and tell what is this national education policy, right? So before I start, I would really like to introduce you to the Aditya Group of Institution, which for the last 2 decades have been providing high quality education to students in the undergraduation and the post graduation arenas of education in management studies, in architecture, in design. And for 20 years, they are been shaping lives of people. They have prominent institutions like the Aditya Institute of Management Studies, School of Architecture, and School of Design Studies. Again, awarded with reputed awards from the Times of India, B School Surveys, from Star Groups, from DNA, and they are committed to what they truly call as innovation, excellence, integrity, and mutual respect. So with this, I'm starting now the very occasion for which we have met here to make things very simple for how this policy is going to impact all of us in this country. And we have a fantastic panel today, people who are policymakers, academicians, researchers, heads of very prominent institutions in this country. So all of the panelists, welcome to you, welcome to our guest. And the format for today is, first I'm going to introduce you to our keynote speaker, Sri Gopal Shetty ji, sir. Then I will just briefly introduce you to the panel members, and then sir is going to give us the keynote address. So who do we have today, friends, on the panel? We have the best of the best names, starting with our honorable member of parliament, Sri Gopal Shetty, sir. Welcome, sir, to the show.
Thank you.
Yes. And then we have very senior prominent educationist, Mr. D.P. Mehta, sir. And he is a Senate member at the University of Mumbai, more than 30 years in education, and he's a chancellor's nominee. So hello, sir, and welcome. Then we have Dr. Kavita Lagate, madam, the director of the very prestigious Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management. Welcome, madam. And now let me finally introduce you to Sri Rajiv Mishra, sir, a very prominent educationist in the fields of urban design, architecture, and the principal of the very prestigious JJ School of Architecture. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
To you, Gopal Shetty, sir, but before that, give me 2 minutes to really introduce you and the kind of work you have been doing. So to start with, Gopal Shetty, sir, on a very personal note, I have been a resident of your constituency during my earlier days in Mumbai. And I have seen you being the people's man, always approachable and available. The kind of work you did in the areas of sports, giving facility at the railways, medical infrastructure. So, you know, everybody looks at you as a people's person, very approachable, but on a very professionally successful level. Friends, I must tell you, Sri Gopal Shetty sir has done it all, seen it all, more than 40 years of public life, out of that 28 years as an elected representative, starting from a corporator in the corporation of Mumbai to being awarded as one of the best corporator to a deputy mayor in Mumbai, city of Mumbai, and now a very prominent member of parliament, done various roles in policy making at the BJP political party level, from being a Mandal Prabhu till the time being a city president of BJP Mumbai. So, sir, welcome and over to you. We are really looking at you to share your thoughts on the overview. What is this national education policy and how does it impacts everyone? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Samirji, for giving my brief introduction, and also I would like to thank Aditya Group of Institute for organizing a wonderful webinar on educational new policy, I will say. And let me also thank Professor Mehta, Kavita ji, Raj Agarwal, Mishra ji, and also some other members who are going to discuss on this issue. I am hopeful that all the other panelists are going to discuss on the education policy in detail. But as a practical person and also related to government, as Samir ji has introduced me from corporation to member of parliament also, and also from the day one, I am mixed up with all the language speaking citizens, I will say,
Yes.
and that is my plus point. And this education policy is also related to that only, because what I'm watching from last 4 decades, I will say, uh, most of the people think that if my child speaks a beautiful, wonderful English, then he will survive. I totally agree with that, because we are becoming, we have already become global, and English is a global language. Without English, we can't survive. That is 100% right. But it is also not true that with the help of English only we are going to survive. That is also that much not correct and perfect as per my knowledge. Now, Prime Minister has talked about local and vocal. And in this education policy, there is also our mother tongue, which we speak in our home. For example, myself, I speak Kannada in my with my family members. And when I leave my home, when I come to a public domain, particularly in Mumbai, I will say I speak Hindi, I speak Marathi, because Marathi is a local language in Mumbai. And definitely Hindi is our national language. Now this languages gives you 50% strength, I will say. And the balance 50% strength, uh, yes, definitely English is there. और मैं जब ये सारी बातें करता हूँ तो मैं थोड़ा हिंदी में भी बात करने का प्रयास करूंगा। जैसे हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर जहाँ पर भी जाते हैं तो वो हिंदी का ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा उपयोग करते हैं। और शुरुआत के दिनों में कुछ लोगों को ये भी लगा होगा कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर को शायद अंग्रेजी आती नहीं होगी, तो बहुत सारे जगह पे हमने देखा कि विदाउट टेकिंग एनी पेपर इन हिज हैंड ही कैन स्पीक फॉर आवर्स एंड आवर्स ऑन एनी टॉपिक। ही हैज प्रूव्ड दैट आल्सो। तो लैंग्वेज का एक बहुत बड़ा मायना होता है अपने जीवन में। और प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने और खास करके प्रकाश जावड़ेकर जी, रमेश पोखरियाल जी, इन सारे लोगों ने मिलकर जो एजुकेशन पॉलिसी बनाई है, उसमें हमारा मदर टंग भी आ जाता है। जिस शहर में हम रहते हैं उस शहर की भाषा भी आ जाती है। जिस राष्ट्र को हम आगे ले जाना चाहते हैं उस राष्ट्र की हिंदी भाषा भी आ जाती है। और डेफिनेटली ग्लोबली जो लैंग्वेज का जिन दिनों में बोलबाला है अंग्रेजी, वो भी इसमें आ जाता है। अब मैं इसको थोड़े अलग मोड में ले जाना चाहूंगा इस एजुकेशन पॉलिसी को। जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने 2014 से बात कही है, हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर मेक इन इंडिया की बात करते हैं, हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर स्किल डेवलपमेंट की बात करते हैं। और ये सारी बातों को अगर आप एजुकेशन के साथ में जोड़ेंगे तो मेरे मन में बहुत दिनों से, और मैं प्रोफेसर मेहता मुझे जानते हैं, मैं जहाँ पर भी जाता हूँ तो मैं एक बात हमेशा कहता था कि मेरा ये दिली तमन्ना है कि एजुकेशन जब हम 7वीं 8वीं को पार करके आगे जाते हैं तो स्कूल में हमको स्किल डेवलपमेंट सिखाया जाए, ये बात मैं बहुत जगह पर कहता था। अब पेरेंट्स लोगों को ये लगता था कि हमारे बच्चों को अगर 95 प्लस मार्क आ जाता तो सब कुछ हो जाएगा, वो तो होगा ही। लेकिन मैं कभी कभी हैरान इस बात से होता था कि सभी बच्चे तो कोई ऑफिसर बनने वाले नहीं है, तो कोई एंटरप्रेन्योर भी बनना चाहिए, कोई मैन्युफैक्चरर बनना चाहिए, कोई फैक्ट्री में मैनेजर बनना चाहिए, सुपरवाइजर बनना चाहिए। तो स्कूल के दिनों से ही अगर कोई प्रोडक्ट के बारे में अगर आपको जानकारी मिलेगी, फॉर एग्जांपल मेरे हाथ में ये बॉटल है, तो बॉटल को मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करने के पहले लिए सबसे पहले डाई बनाना पड़ता है, और ये ब्लो मोल्डिंग का प्रोडक्ट है। इसका जो कैप है ये इंजेक्शन मोल्डिंग का प्रोडक्ट है। आप सबकी जानकारी के लिए मैं ये बताना चाहूंगा कि आई एम ए प्रोडक्ट ऑफ स्किल डेवलपमेंट। मैं बचपन से ही डाई मेकिंग का काम मैंने सीखा। मैं टर्नर हूँ, मैं फिटर हूँ, मैं वेल्डर हूँ, मैं डाई मेकर हूँ। साइनाट इंजीनियरिंग नाम का एक फैक्ट्री मैंने 30-35 साल चलाई, और जब मैं कॉर्पोरेटर बना तो फिर धीरे धीरे मैंने उसको स्टॉप कर दिया। इंजनों में पूरी 100% मैंने उसको स्टॉप कर दिया है। तो मैं बचपन से ही स्किल डेवलपमेंट का एक प्रोडक्ट रहा हूँ। तो मैं जहां पर भी जाता हूं तो आई कैन डिस्कस विथ एनीबडी ऑन एनी टॉपिक फॉर एनी अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम। मैं ये डिस्कशन कर सकता हूँ क्योंकि मुझे बचपन से इन सारे बातों का ज्ञान प्राप्त हुआ है। अब मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि फॉर एग्जांपल समझो एक बच्चा पढ़कर अगर कोई फैक्ट्री में सुपरवाइजर भी बन जाता है, तो उसको जो फैक्ट्री का वो सुपरवाइजरिंग करता है तो उसको उसका पूरा नॉलेज पहले से ही प्राप्त होता है। तो जो जिनके ऊपर सुपरवाइजरिंग करेगा तो बच्चे प्रभावित हो जाएंगे कि हमारा जो सुपरवाइजर है उनको ये सारी बातों का नॉलेज है। फिर आप सुपरवाइजर से मैनेजर बन जाओगे। मैनेजर बनने के बाद में आपका ग्रेड बढ़ जाएगा, आपका नॉलेज बढ़ जाएगा, आपका काम करने का दायरा बढ़ जाएगा। फिर जिस व्यक्ति के साथ में आप काम करते हो सकता है कि वो आपको कंपनी का डायरेक्टर बना देगा। अगर वो आपको न भी बनाता है तो मैं ये कहूंगा कि आपके पास जो नॉलेज है उस नॉलेज को किसी व्यक्ति के पास जो जगह है उसके पास पैसा है लेकिन उसके पास नॉलेज नहीं है, तो ये आपका पूरा नॉलेज को लेकर और पार्टनरशिप में आपको लेकर आपको आगे बढ़ा सकता है। इतनी इसमें ताकत है। अब मैं आपको ये डायरेक्ट जो समय मेरे पास है उसमें बताना चाहूंगा, जिन्होंने, मैं क्रिटिसाइज करना नहीं चाहूंगा लेकिन जो वास्तविकता उसको आपके सामने रखना भी पड़ेगा। हमारे देश को जिन्होंने भी पॉलिटिकली चलाया, चाइना के साथ में जिन लोगों ने एग्रीमेंट किया वो आप सब ओपन हो चुका है। यानी अपने देश को कोई मार्केट के ऊपर डोमिनेट करने का मौका ही नहीं मिला। ऐसा लगता था कि बस हम तो सिर्फ किसी पर डिपेंड रहने वाले लोग हैं। इस प्रकार की मानसिकता में हमको ले जाने का काम कुछ लोगों ने किया, और जो भी इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट मेरी बात को सुनते होंगे उनको भी पूरा चाइना चले जाओ, चाइना से सब माल परचेस कर लो, अपने देश में लाओ, डंप कर लो, और इस तरह से हमारे देश को चलाया। और कुछ बच्चे जो बहुत ही सुपर होशियार जिनको हम कहेंगे, उन सारे बच्चों को अमेरिका जैसे देश ने कैप्चर कर लिया। यानी हमारे देश में से जो सुपर ब्रेन था वो चला गया, दूसरा ब्रेन था वो चाइना से सारा प्रोडक्ट को लाकर हमारे देश में मार्केटिंग करने लग गया, और जिसको भी चाहिए वो लेने लग गया, और उस तरह से हमारा देश चलने लग गया। मैं सिर्फ आपको एक बात से अगर जोड़ना चाहूँ तो जिस मुंबई शहर में आज हम लोग हैं, ये मुंबई शहर में एक समय ऐसा था कि 36 मिल्स वर रनिंग इन आवर मुंबई सिटी, उसमें से 24 बंद पड़ गए, आज सिर्फ 12 चल रहे, वो भी बीमार हालत में चल रहे। अब ये क्यों ऐसा हो गया, मैं आपकी जानकारी के लिए, मैं थोड़ा दिन आज भी मैं टेक्सटाइल कमेटी का मेंबर हूं, तो 2 साल पहले का रिपोर्ट मैं आपको बताता हूं। जितना भी कॉटन ग्रो होता है पूरे दुनिया में, 26% इंडिया इज ग्रोइंग। सेम क्वांटम बिफोर 2 years record I am sharing with you, 26% cotton China was growing, so 26 and 26, 52, rest 48 the entire world was growing. So इतनी बड़ी हमारी ताकत है। अब हमारे देश का जो ये 26% कॉटन भी चाइना परचेस करके और बफर स्टॉक करने लग गया, और फिर जब उनको मन में आता तो वो मार्केट में डंप करके मार्केट तोड़ने का काम वो करते थे। अब हुआ क्या कि ये 36 मिल धीरे धीरे बंद पड़ते गए, या तो बंद किया गया। एक बहुत बड़ा इंटरनेशनल साजिश जिसको मैं कहूंगा वो चला, हम लोगों को किसी को पता ही नहीं चला वो। और धीरे धीरे हमारा जो देश कॉटन में से कपड़े हम लोग बनाते थे मिल में, मिल बंद पड़ने से कपड़ा बनाना बहुत कम हो गया हमारे यहाँ पर, और जो भी बनता था तो महंगा होने लग गया। तो चाइना से सब रेडीमेड आने लग गया। चाइना से रेडीमेड आने का परिणाम ये हुआ कि हमारे देश के जो टेलर थे उनका जॉब भी चला गया, यानी टेलरिंग इंडस्ट्री भी धीरे धीरे सब बंद हो गया। और हमारी मेंटेलिटी ऐसा हो गया कि भाई चाइना नु तो बहुत सस्तू है, चाइना का तो बहुत सस्ता है, तो यहाँ पर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करने से क्या होता है। ये मेंटेलिटी ने हमारे देश के सारे लोगों का जॉब ले लिया, हमारे देश के लोगों ने सारे जॉब ले लिया। और हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर 2014 में जब देश में उन्होंने भागदौड़ संभाली तो उन्होंने मेक इन इंडिया की बात कही। तो मेक इन इंडिया की बात कही तो हमारे जो सो कॉल्ड कांग्रेस के लोग उसका मजाक उड़ाने लग गए कि क्या ये मेक इन इंडिया की बात हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर करते हैं। देखिए, सी वी आर द बिगेस्ट मार्केट इन द वर्ल्ड, 130 करोड़ की हमारी पॉपुलेशन है। जो भी हम बनाएंगे उसको बेचने की क्षमता हमारे देश में ही है। बनाने वाले भी हम होंगे, बेचने वाले भी हमारे होंगे, परचेस खरीदने के वाले भी हमारे होंगे। तो इतनी बड़ी ताकत हमारे मार्केट में है, लेकिन हमने अपने ताकत को कभी समझा ही नहीं और हम लोग दूसरे के ऊपर डिपेंड होने लग गए। तो हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री जो स्किल डेवलपमेंट की बात करते, तो हमने बच्चों को पहले दिन से स्किल डेवलपमेंट के क्षेत्र में जोड़ना चाहिए। कुछ मैनेजर बनेंगे, कुछ ऑफिसर बनेंगे, कुछ सुपरवाइजर बनेंगे, कुछ एंटरप्रेन्योर बनेंगे, और ये धीरे धीरे करते 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 पूरा जो मार्केट है, ये पूरा मार्केट हमारे हाथ में फिर एक बार आएगा। इस प्रकार की स्थिति में साहब आज हम लोग हैं। मैं आपको कहता हूं कि ये पेंडेमिक का जो पीरियड आज इन दिनों में चल रहा है, ये होते हुए भी जो भी बुद्धिमान लोग कहते होंगे 2 साल लगेगा, 5 साल लगेगा, 10 साल लगेगा, मैं आपको कहता हूं कोई इतना साल लगने वाला नहीं है। एक बार एक कोरोना का महामारी समाप्त होते ही हम लोग बहुत तेजी से आगे बढ़ पाएंगे। ऐसा एक स्थिति, देखिए कुछ पाने के लिए कुछ खोना पड़ता है, ये हम लोगों ने बचपन से ही सुना है, और कुछ खोया है हमने ये 4 महीने में, लेकिन जितना हमने खोया है उससे ज्यादा हम आने वाले दिनों में पाएंगे, ये भी मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ। मैं अभी कॉर्पोरेशन में से एक मीटिंग करके आ रहा हूँ। कॉर्पोरेशन में इस प्रकार का एक बड़ा प्रपोजल आया है, पेपर में भी आया, बहुत लोगों ने अगर उसको नोट किया होगा तो 10,000 बेड का एक हॉस्पिटल खोलने के लिए इंडिया को पैसे मिलने वाले, 10,000 बेड का। अब ये 10,000 बेड की जब मैं बात करता हूँ तो आप लोगों को लगेगा कि कोरोना परमानेंट रहेगा क्या, कोरोना सबको होगा क्या, जो होना वो तो होगा ही, लेकिन 10,000 बेड का अगर हॉस्पिटल, अब मैं उसको मेरा प्रपोजल दूंगा, ये जो प्रपोजल है को एक ही साथ में एक ही जगह में 20 एकड़ जमीन पर हो। मैं प्रपोजल देने वाला हूँ कि ये 5-5 एकड़ में 4 जगह पे आप बनाओ, ताकि लोकल लोगों को लोकली काम मिलेगा, और जो भी बीमार पड़ेंगे तो वो नजदीक के हॉस्पिटल में जा पाएंगे। इतनी बड़ी इसकी ताकत है, उसको कभी वापस एक वेबिनार में इस विषय पर चर्चा करनी है तो मैं आपको इन डिटेल मेरा नॉलेज को शेयर करने का मैं प्रयास करूंगा। देखिए, प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने बहुत पहले से ही ये जो हेल्थ के बारे में 10 करोड़ लोगों को 5 लाख रुपए का सरकार के माध्यम से जो मदद की बात कही, अब इसमें से बहुत लोगों को मदद मिलता नहीं, उस बात से मैं समझता हूँ, क्योंकि ये जो स्कीम है ये 2011 का हमारा जो सर्वे हुआ था उसके पर हिसाब से हुआ था। अब 2011 का सर्वे किसने किया आप लोगों को मालूम है, उस विषय में मैं जाना नहीं चाहूंगा, लेकिन वापस एक बार 2020, 21, 22 में जब भी ये वापस सर्वे होगा तो उसमें मैक्सिमम लोगों को हम जोड़ पाएंगे। स्कीम है, पैसा है, लेकिन मैक्सिमम लोगों को इसका मदद नहीं मिल रहा है, एक बात हो गया। अब ये कोविड आने के बाद में ये जो बड़े बड़े हॉस्पिटल, मेडिकल इंडस्ट्री बहुत जोर से आने वाले दिनों में चलेगा। मेडिकल इंडस्ट्री बहुत तेजी से चलेगा, बहुत सारे हॉस्पिटल खुलेंगे, बहुत हॉस्पिटल खुलेंगे तो बहुत डॉक्टर्स लगेंगे हमको, बहुत डॉक्टर्स लगेंगे तो बहुत नर्सेस लगेंगे, वार्ड बॉय, ये सारे लोगों का एक टीम का पूरा पैकेज आने वाले दिनों में मेडिकल इंडस्ट्री से जुड़ जाएगा। ये इंडस्ट्री बहुत तेजी से बूम अप होगा और बहुत जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटी हमको यहाँ से भी प्राप्त होगा, ये भी मैं आपको बताता हूँ। ये एक इंडस्ट्री से, उसके साथ साथ में चाइना के साथ में आने वाले दिनों में जो कुछ भी प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने निर्णय लिया है, इंपोर्ट सब होना होगा, बड़ी ताकत है। मैं बहुत, मुझे लगता है कि समय बहुत कम है, अगर आपकी इजाजत हो तो मैं इसको और एलोबरेट कर पाऊंगा, लेकिन मैं मानता हूं कि एक ही बार सब कुछ होना चाहिए ऐसा मुझे लगता नहीं है। तो ये नया एजुकेशन पॉलिसी जो आया है, आप मदर टंग के साथ में जुड़ जाइए, आप लोकल लैंग्वेज के साथ में जुड़ जाइए, आप ग्लोबल लैंग्वेज के साथ में जुड़ जाइए। हमको हमारे देश के बच्चों को और बच्चों के माता पिता को ये समझाना पड़ेगा आने वाले दिनों में कि आपके बच्चे ने 95 प्लस मार्क लाना चाहिए, ये जरूरी है, लेकिन जरूरी है ऐसा नहीं है। आपके बच्चे ये बाइफरकेट हम सारे बच्चों को कर देंगे तो मैं मानता हूं कि बच्चों को बचपन से ही, छोटे उम्र से ही, एक 5वीं 6ठी के बाद में वो पूरा इंडस्ट्री को समझने लगेंगे, वो पूरे नेशनल सीनियरों को समझने लगेंगे, और आने वाले दिनों में जाकर मुझे क्या करना है वो उसका प्रिपरेशन पहले से ही करेगा, ताकि वो उसका एजुकेशन पूरा होने के बाद में, हाथ में डिग्री आने के बाद में मैंने कहाँ जाना चाहिए, मैंने क्या करना चाहिए, ये उसको इंतजार करने की कोई आवश्यकता नहीं पड़ेगी। वो पहले दिन से ही ये सारे जगह पर मैंने क्या करना चाहिए, मुझे कहाँ जाना है आने वाले दिनों में, उसको नॉलेज पहले दिन से आ जाएगा। तो मैं मानता हूं कि ये जो नया एजुकेशन पॉलिसी आया है ये एक ताकत है हमारे देश के बच्चों के लिए, हमारे देश के माँ बाप के लिए भी एक ताकत है। और धीरे धीरे आप देखेंगे ईज ऑफ डूइंग के बिजनेस के माध्यम से जो ब्यूरोक्रेसी ने पूरे सिस्टम को हाथ में लिया है, ये धीरे धीरे सारा सिस्टम ब्यूरोक्रेसी के हाथ से निकलकर हमारे बच्चों के हाथ में आ जाएगा। इतनी बड़ी ताकत हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री और जो सारा सिस्टम है वो उसको डेवलप कर रहे हैं। इसमें पॉलिटिशियन, इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव को बहुत बड़ा एक रोल प्ले करना पड़ेगा। मैं आप लोगों से निवेदन करूंगा, जो भी मेरी आवाज को सुनते हैं, आप खाली इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव को सिर्फ 5 साल में एक बार वोट देकर उसको महाराष्ट्र के विधानसभा में भेजने के लिए, मुंबई महानगर पालिका में भेजने के लिए, या तो फिर मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट बनाकर दिल्ली भेजने के लिए नहीं, तो ये तीनों जगह पर तो भेजना ही है, लेकिन ये तीनों जगह पर आप क्यों भेजने वाले हो, तो आपकी सारी आवश्यकताओं को ये सारे लोगों ने पूरा करना है, ये बात भी आपके ध्यान में होनी चाहिए। और ये तीनों जो इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव होते हैं, जो कॉर्पोरेटर है, जो एमएलए है, जो एमपी है, उन्होंने सारी आपकी आवश्यकताओं को पूरा करना है। ये आपके दिमाग में भी होना चाहिए, आपके माता पिता के दिमाग में भी होना चाहिए। मैं आपको कहता हूं कि देखते देखते भारत देश बहुत तेजी से आगे बढ़ेगा, बहुत तेजी से आने वाले दिनों में आगे बढ़ेगा। तो मैं मानता हूं कि बाकी सारे जो पैनलिस्ट है वो ये एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के बारे में जो भी उन्होंने स्टडी किया होगा वो आप लोगों के साथ में शेयर करेंगे, लेकिन जो मेन इसका जो फंडामेंटल जो बातें हैं, एक इलेक्टेड पॉलिटिशियन के नाते, और मैं सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के साथ में बहुत ही क्लोजली रिलेटेड हूं, और खास करके मेरा तो ऐसा है कि मैं कॉर्पोरेशन, एमएलए और एमपी होने की वजह से आई एम ऑलराउंडर आई कैन से, और मैं सारे सिस्टम को आप तक पहुंचाने की क्षमता आप लोगों ने मुझे दी है, वो मैं विद इंटरेस्ट आपको वापस पहुंचा सकता हूं, इतना मैं सक्षम हुआ हूं। तो मैं मानता हूं कि ये वेबिनार जो आदित्य ग्रुप ऑफ इंस्टीट्यूशन के माध्यम से अरेंज किया गया और उसमें आप सब पैनलिस्ट जुड़े हैं, मैं मानता हूं कि लेट अस शेयर आवर नॉलेज विद द स्टूडेंट्स एंड आल्सो विद द पेरेंट्स, एंड हम उनको एक बहुत बड़ी ताकत के साथ में, जो सुपर पावर हमारे देश को बनना है और हमारे देश को राज करना है, और मैं मानता हूं कि हम आसानी से कर पाएंगे। हम क्यों कर पाएंगे? क्योंकि हम जब कभी भी बात करते हैं, हम जब कभी भी सोचते हैं, तो हमको आगे बढ़ना है, लेकिन हम किसी देश को तबाह कर कर हम आगे बढ़े, ये हमारे पहले के लोगों को भी मानसिकता नहीं थी, आज के लोगों की भी मानसिकता नहीं है। इसलिए पूरे दुनिया के लोग हमको एक्सेप्ट इसलिए करते हैं कि वी वांट टू ग्रो विथ अदर्स। हम किसी और को घर पे बिठाकर ग्रो करें, ये हमारी मानसिकता कभी भी रही नहीं है। इसलिए सारे दुनिया के लोग हमको वेलकम करेंगे और हम बहुत तेजी से आगे बढ़ेंगे। इतना ही मुझे मेरे ओपनिंग रिमार्क्स में आप लोगों के साथ में शेयर करना था। Once again, thanks everybody who are going to join in this discussion, and I am once again thank Samir ji for giving me my brief introduction to the peoples who are going to address and who are listening today. Thank you, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। भारत माता की जय।
थैंक यू वेरी मच गोपाल शेट्टी सर, बहुत आपने बेसिक लेवल की रियलिटीज बताई कि कहाँ पे हम लोग हैं, और एजुकेशन पॉलिसी हो या कोई भी पॉलिसी हो, इट कैन नॉट वर्क इन आइसोलेशन। और जो आपने पूरा एक कॉन्टेक्स्ट बताया परफेक्ट है। आपने ये बोला वो भी बराबर है, हेल्थ केयर, एजुकेशन, हॉस्पिटैलिटी, वेलनेस, इन सब चीजों में बहुत सी अपॉर्चुनिटीज आने वाले दिनों में है, एंड वी ऑल विल वर्क टुगेदर टू दैट। So thank you very much, sir, for this.
Thank you.
Yeah. So next, friends, we are moving to a very, very senior academician, a chartered accountant, and MBA by profession, Professor DP Mehta, sir. Sir has been into the
Yeah, meet
education
kar do.
and academic fraternity. He's a chancellor nominee and a senate member at the University of Mumbai. And DP Mehta, sir, is going to guide us on a very interesting concept which is there in the National Education Policy, जिसको हम कहते हैं ABC, Academic Bank of Credit. Sounds also very good, and it has a tremendous potential, and it has been picked up from the best universities in the world, you know. And ये हम लोग हमेशा से बोलते थे इंडिया में कि हमारा एजुकेशन सिस्टम बहुत रिजिड है, बहुत सुपर स्ट्रक्चर्ड है, फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी नहीं है. This ABC policy is going to help to solve a lot of these problems, you know. And DP Mehta, sir, we look forward to hear to you in the next 10 minutes about your views. ये है क्या actually? So welcome, sir.
First of all, my good wishes for the Independence Day for tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
और मैं चाहूँगा कि 15 अगस्त स्वतंत्रता दिन है और हम जल्दी कोरोना से भी स्वतंत्र हो जाएंगे, ऐसी उम्मीद के साथ अच्छी हेल्थ रहे. नाउ आई एम आस्क्ड टू स्पीक ऑन द एकेडमिक बैंक ऑफ क्रेडिट, व्हिच आई बिलीव is a really revolution in NEP 2020. Why? Because if you study the ground reality, कितने बच्चे 12th के बाद एडमिशन ले रहे हैं, इसमें कोई मीडियोकर भी हो गए, इतने होशियार भी नहीं हो गए, लेकिन पास हो गए और वो FI BCom या FI BA या FI BSc या इंजीनियरिंग में दाखला लेके एंटर करते. बट आगे जाके फॉर एनी कंटिजेंसी, फॉर एनी रीजन, he or she may not be able to continue further studies. I have seen many students, they are meeting me, being an academician, halfway they leave the studies, SY BCom किया या 13 के बाद छोड़ दिया. Now they are stranded in such a position कि उनके ऊपर क्या स्टैम्प है, 12 पास, that's all. तो उनको क्या बोला जाएगा, अरे भाई तू तो 12 पास है. अब ये जो मनोस्थिति है उनकी, that will be removed. Now what is ABC? Now suppose if a student is appearing only FI BCom, very rare, maybe 5 to 10%, and then for any reason he has to leave the studies, exit, but for 1 year he will get a certificate from University of Mumbai. So we will get something that you attended first year, and that first year of your study will be in your bank account. जैसे हमारा सेविंग अकाउंट में पैसा पड़ा रहता, his 1 year is credited in his academic account. अब 1-2 साल के बाद उनको लगे now I'm capable, I'm mentally prepared, financially prepared, then he will reappear. Then that 1 year credit will be carried forward. Take another example of another student, 2 साल करके कुछ भी कारण से उसको स्टडी छोड़ना पड़ा, तो बैंक में 2 साल जमा हो जाएंगे उसके, तो उसको डिप्लोमा मिलेगा. ये बहुत ही एक बहुत अचीवमेंट है. खुश होगा बेचारा कि मैं कुछ तो, डिप्लोमा वर्ड इज नॉट बैड, जूनियर असिस्टेंट लेवल पे आपको नौकरी मिल सकती है. सो यू आर गेटिंग डिप्लोमा इन कॉमर्स, डिप्लोमा इन साइंस, डिप्लोमा इन सो एंड सो, और 3 साल किया तो आपको एज यूजुअल जो हम कर रहे हैं, यू विल गेट अ डिग्री, प्रॉपर डिग्री, जो आज हमें 12वीं के बाद 13, 14, 15 3 साल करना पड़ता है. सो यू गेट प्रॉपर डिग्री. बट नाउ 4th ईयर विच इज अ वेरी इनोवेटिव. अगर आप जो पेरेंट स्टूडेंट फॉरेन जाना चाहते हैं, उसके लिए एक रेस्ट्रिक्शन था अमेरिका में, कनाडा में, ऑस्ट्रेलिया में, दैट 14+1 academic year has to be completed. So what they were doing, those who wanted to go foreign for studies or job, they were taking admission in MA Part 1, MCom Part 1 or MBA, just to prove that I am 10 plus 13 plus 2, मतलब वो 15 साल वहाँ गिना. अब यहाँ ये प्रॉब्लम नहीं आएगा. After 4th year, you can directly appear for any foreign university, either for job or for education, for any other purpose. So that hurdle will be removed. You don't have to only for sake of counting the number, he will appear for MA or MA Part 1 MCom. So this 4 year, now one more additional benefit. पहले PhD के लिए MPhil was required. अब वो निकल गया. That limitation is being removed. अभी मैंने हमारे एकेडमिस्तान से ये इंटरव्यू लिया था. जो MPhil कर रहे हैं उनके ऊपर कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. That will continue. Your degree will be counted. अभी जब नई पॉलिसी इंप्लीमेंट होगी, afterward you need not do MP. After 4 years, you can directly start research activity. और ये जाना मुझे I am very happy to announce that government is going to earmark huge fund for the research activity. Now such research which will help the country, which will help our nation. Now not a very routine type PhD, which people are doing only for just for degree or just for visiting card, but there will be need-based PhD. Biotechnology, nanotechnology hai, some aeronautic, something which India needs. We call it import substitution, which is the demand of the day. आप देखो, आप economic times पढ़ो 2-3 दिन का. Day by day, government is now putting ban on all imported goods. They want import substitution. Even in defense, they have earmarked 4 lakh crores of order for our local companies. So this will help intelligent student, bright student to shape his career right from the beginning. If my child right from beginning is interested to become an astronaut or NASA or ISRO, will focus in that, and that will start from 6th, 7th, 8th standard. You can take that subject. You can start practical training in the beginning also. आपको industrial training जो हमें आज MBA student को देते हैं, what a great change. एक 6th standard का बच्चा को आप industrial training में लेके जाओगे, उसका knowledge, उसका exposure, vision will be really enriched. So this policy ABC will help such student who is to drop out student, we call it. So he will get something in return. He will not be called 12th pass. So either certificate or diploma or degree or a step further for PhD. And I'm sure in coming years we'll get a very quality education, and the productive PhD people will help to groom India, and we will be competing the entire world. Thank you for giving me opportunities. Let other speaker also express their view. Thank you very much.
So DP Mehta sir, thank you very much. Very simply explained what this policy is, but we all agree also the application is going to be a key of this, and also this ABC concept is going to encourage the concept of staying relevant with lifelong learning. You know, people now have a chance to on hop on, hop off kind of a model, which we have been seeing globally. So thanks for sharing your views, sir. And next we move to Professor Dr. Kavita Lagate ji. Madam, madam, you are there? I can see you on the screen, ma'am. Kavita ji?
Yes, I am here.
Yeah, you are there?
Yes, I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but
Yes.
can't see you. Yes, madam. Yes, thank you. Yeah. So welcome, madam. And
No, ठीक है?
हो बराबर दिसते madam मला.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So I will just.
Can I speak?
No, I will just like
Yeah.
to introduce you because you represent one of the most prominent and age-old management institution in this country. Every MBA aspirant who wants to do a business program first thinks about the Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies. So, madam, I think the learnings which you are going to share, because you deal with the management aspirants, with executives, you work on the placement areas, and your role as a director at JBIMS and as well as at the Institute of Distance and Open Learning. This vertical itself is going to have a very big impact with the NEP, you know, as we continue to work on traditional classroom MBA and management program, whether it is a MMS or it's a 3-year part-time masters, but also parallelly the entire scope of distance learning, online learning, pocket size learning, what we are talking today, we would really like to have your views there, and with your PhD and MSc from Nagpur University. You have also as an associate dean with the University of Mumbai in the Commerce and Management faculty. So you have a big role to play at the policy level, at the university level, and also the real life business concept because of the JBIMS background. So madam, welcome to you, and we really look forward to your views on the challenges and what are going to be the changes because of this NEP policy overall, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, madam.
So thank you, Samir ji. Am I audible?
Yes, very much, ma'am.
Yes. So thank you for inviting me, Aditya Group of Institutions. My best wishes to Shri Gopal Shetty ji and all other co-panelists, Dr. Raj Agrawal, Professor D.P. Mehta and Dr. Rajiv Mehta, and to all the people who are participating in this webinar. First of all, let us understand that this new education policy, which is introduced in this 2020, started long back, and a lot of deliberations have happened in small groups. This policy was on the HRD Ministry's website to give your suggestions and recommendations, etc. So it's a participative education policy which the government has come up with. And it is going to change drastically the way we look at the education sector. And why I'm saying so, because in last so many years, what we were experiencing was a fragmented higher education ecosystem where commerce, science, arts, management, architecture, engineering, etc. And there was no way where we can combine this. The new policy is coming up with this change that the universities, the institutions will be multidisciplinary, and they will offer the programs which will have not only scientific way, but also it will have all the social and emotional aspects of human development. All the activities which are going to be directed towards making a overall developed individual through this system. And the emphasis will be more on the cognitive aspect of the human being, and that is going to make a lot of change in our teaching learning processes and the skills that we will be acquiring through our programs. The rigid separation of disciplines and specialization is going to go away. So I can have mathematics, I can have some language, I can have some courses in commerce and economics, and it will be more of a choice-based kind of program that I some time back. Professor Mehta sir said that you will have your own academic credits bank into your own account, where you can have some credits created in the first year, some credits earned in second year, and some credits earned in the third year, and that will make your degree. So the number of credits required will be defined, and it will be different, because in this case the policy is encouraging autonomy. And this encouraging autonomy is going to give benefits to the students in a big way, because I want to do physics and I want to do music also, so I can do that. So that flexibility and multidisciplinary approach is what it is going to be there. Another very important thing Gopalji also has mentioned in his initial remarks, that we are not going to stick to the only English as a medium of instructions. It is going to be your mother tongue. It is going to be any local language that you wish to do. So the responsibility on all of us, teachers, educationists, education societies, and all of us who are stakeholders, to create big knowledge base in our own languages, in our local languages, which is going to make a lot of change, and lot of opportunities are going to be there. The idea of making multidisciplinary universities and autonomous colleges which are going to give degrees is another path-breaking initiative which the National Education Policy is mentioning. It is talking about the current affiliation system. University affiliated colleges is going to get diminished day by day, because the new education policy wants to encourage the colleges to take responsibility of their own vision, mission and implementation of the policy that they wish to implement. And by doing so, more autonomy in academic and administrative responsibilities, and in those dimensions it will be implemented. The educational institutes can give degrees also, so we can have a degree giving autonomous institutions or colleges, which will be another path breaking initiative that we are going to have. Now changes are plentiful, and also the implementation document is still awaited. These are all policy matters. The strategy is now decided. How it needs to be implemented will also come in some time. But the challenges and the hurdles that we will be facing will also come along with it. It's a big change management project that all of us we will be involved in. How to change? First thing, mindset, because all of us for years together have been thinking, working, implementing, delivering in particular way. That needs to change, and we will have to address that by a very strategic way and by implementing it through the very step-wise methodology. The document talks about 10 years objectives and 20 years objectives also. So we are not in hurry. That today we have got this National Education Policy 2020 and 2021, we are going to get it implemented. That's not the case. The implementation will happen, and there are goals. There are goals for interdisciplinary universities, degree giving autonomous institutions. It is also talking about other taking into consideration the requirement of the society. So by 2030, what should be the GER? By 2040, what should be the achievements that we are targeting? So all these things are going to make changes, and the changes that we will require is number one, the mindset. So all of us will have to work together with all the stakeholders, the students, the teachers, the societies who are running educational institutes, and the parents and the society and the corporates who are giving the jobs to our students. We will have to take them together, explain them that this is what is the way ahead and this is how the things are going to change. So that is first change management, mindset change management. Second thing, all our teaching learning procedures will change. Our evaluation procedures will change, because there is no distinction as it is open and distance education and face-to-face. The face-to-face student, the student who is into face-to-face system can opt for any program on OER, Open Educational Resources, or ODL, Open and Distance Education. So in this case, the administration will have to make changes, because the credits are coming from different aspects, from different sources, and those need to be properly maintained for our students to make them happy for the learnings that they are going to have. The challenges for administration and the teaching will be little more, because we are the people who are delivering the objectives of the National Education Policy, and we are the ones who are going to achieve the objectives which are set by the National Education Policy for 2030 and 2040 years. That means 10 years after this and 20 years after this. We will have to be ready. Changes are going to be enormous, but changes, if we are emotionally ready, if we are intellectually ready, I think those changes will be very, very pleasant, and it will be for better generations to come, and they will make the students overall developed through their emotional intelligence, emotional quotient, intellectual intelligence, intellectual quotients, and also they will be ready for the society and country at large. So thank you so much for giving me time. Thanks.
Dr. Kavita ji so nicely articulated the importance of interdisciplinary approach, the opportunity for students to learn in classroom models and online models, and it's a policy for the future. And we all agree that it's the entire success of this policy lies in how we implement that together. So thank you very much for your views, madam. Next, I move to somebody from New Delhi, Dr. Raj Agarwal, sir. Welcome to the webinar. Sir, you will have to unmute, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay, I'll just introduce you to sir. You don't need introduction. We have interacted before. Dr. Raj Agarwal, sir, is the director and the professor for the Center for Management Education at the prestigious All India Management Association, very fondly known as IMA. Sir is a very prominent researcher, faculty, international visiting faculty in research with the Montana State University, runs a very prominent institute, IMA, in this country. He's worked very, very closely with regulatory authorities, whether it is AICTE, National Board of Accreditation, AIU, NAB, and he understands how policy making happens at that level and what impact the policies of such level have on the country and the community. So, sir, with your understanding of research, you have more than 70 research papers in Indian and foreign journals about education, about economics, about social issues. So we really look forward to your views on how this policy is going to impact professional education, continued education, education beyond our normal schools and colleges, sir. So welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Samir, for giving very nice introduction. And Professor Mehra, distinguished Professor Mehra, Professor Kavita, Dr. Sunita Srivastav, Dr. Rajiv Misra, and distinguished participants. I am really very happy to listen the views of very distinguished educationists. And for last 10 to 15 days, we are working in this direction. And earlier, well before this, when this Knowledge Commission was set up, we too have presented on behalf of this IMA views on this new education policies. So here I see some very, very important challenges. First, challenge in terms that there is no doubt that we are going towards liberal education. So we have 3-4 years undergraduate degree with multiple exit options. We have 4 years bachelor liberal arts education in chosen major and minors. We have 3 years bachelor degree. We have both 3 years as well as 4 years programs lead to a degree with honors with research work and exit with 2 years advanced diploma or 1 year certificates. We too have now flexible master degree program and then 2 years for those 3 years undergraduate degree with honors, and then we have 5 years integrated program. We too have created not only academic bank, but we too have created a process that how this credits in higher education institution could be transferred. Professor Mehta has already pointed out, and how these are going to be added. So this is a first direction, but this is this is a policy. So here you see that institute where this only management is a measure or only management is a focus. So obviously we have to work out a plan that how you see that papers of this liberal arts as well as papers of this science that could be introduced and how this credit transfer that could take place very smoothly. Now, this is happening in US for last so many years, but definitely for us there is a challenge that how we are going to work in this direction. Secondly, this is this learning environment, very friendly learning environment, as well as this student support that has been pointed out. And here this has been pointed out first, why this creating national education, higher education qualification framework. So this is obviously by taking into consideration that what is going to be the learning outcome. And what is most important part, we know that in last 6 years, there are national skill qualifications and somewhere around 15 to 16 ministries. They are offering this skill programs, then this National Skill Development Corporation, and then there is a this 34 sector skill councils. They have been created, and they have created this qualification pack. They have created this standards, etc., and then various kind of label for this integration. Even this skill university, that too have been set up. So this biggest challenge is this, that how this is going to be integrated. This policy from very basic level, this is starting from class 6, have taken into consideration that how this skill, national skill qualification framework is going to be a part of this national education, higher education framework. But again, how this is going to be done in a manner by which students community are going to be benefited, as well as institutes are going to cooperate, this is again a big challenge. There is this choice-based credit system. So obviously, for students going abroad and then going in different kind of this stream, this system is a very nice step. And now they have this student success not only on academic aspects but also on a broad capacities and disposition. Means they can go for social sciences, they can study philosophy, they can have this assessment based on sports and extracurricular activities. They have emphasized that how this 50% target of this gross enrollment that could be achieved in coming years. So for that purpose, they have given this adequate emphasis on this open distance learning, and then this internationalization of education, that too has been facilitated. And they very specifically emphasized Inter-University Center for International Education to be set up within a selected universities. Earlier, although this work is looked up after by AIU, but now they said that this university must take up this responsibility. Another important area of this particular policy is higher education governance and regulation. So standard setting, funding, accreditation, and regulation. These 4 areas, they have been separated and going to be conducted by independent bodies. This is what that one biggest reform that was demanded in last 50 years, but first time this policy has taken action in this area. Like this National Higher Education Regulatory Authority, means AICT and UGC, going to be merged with one regulator. And then this University Grant Commission, which is looking after multifaceted areas, is going to look after only grant, and then going to be converted in Higher Education Grant Council. Then there is a new General Education Council. So we have different kind of council. For pharmacy, there is a council. For technical education, AICT is there, and then different kind of this councils are also there. So this is going to be one, and then UGC2 is having different kind of boards. So there is going to be only one new General Education Council, and this is going to develop the National Higher Education Qualification Framework, and going to this so many confusion in terms of this nomenclature, in terms of duration. So obviously there is going to be a uniformity. And then this National Assessment and Accreditation Council, currently at present only 2 recognized body. This is what that this NAC as well as this NBA, they are there. There is an emphasis that not only this NAC and this NBA is going to be a part of this, but what is important that there is a talk, but this has not been clearly spelled out, that how the involvement of this international bodies like for management, AMBA, ASB, etc., as well as this is what that support of this professional bodies from India that could be taken. And now emphasis on this strengthening this state council for higher education, and then there could be a common regime, regulatory regime for public as well as private institution. So currently we have this lot of confusion in terms of nomenclatures and in terms of this various kind of varieties of the degrees offered by the varieties of institutions like this affiliating universities, deemed to be universities, affiliating technical universities, unitary universities. So this is, all these are going to be simply replaced by the word university. Again, a distinctions between PGDM as well as this MBA. I don't know that how and what way this is also going to be extinguished, but there is a talk that there could be a degree program. And where should and this degree is going to be awarded by a university. But even then, there more clarity is required. Now, this is what that, although this is rooted in Indian tradition, but a lot of things have been borrowed from US system. So in US, we have three type of institutions, basically: research universities, teaching universities. So this is what that we are very specifically talking, that there could be research universities, and these research universities should focus, equal focus on research and teaching. Then we should have this teaching universities, this primary focus on teaching with significant focus on research. Then they are talking about autonomous degree granting college. This is what going to be exclusively for teaching. And then major emphasis, this multidisciplinary education and research universities that could be set up at par with IITs, IIMs, and then this best multidisciplinary education model could be developed. And then this process of this affiliation could be phased out in this 15 years, and then this is what that institute could be a given graded autonomy for the award of degree. There is a talk of this substantial public investment, more than 6% of this GDP, and then the institution should focus on this setting up a startup incubation center, technology development center, centers in frontier area of research and greater industry linkages. But roadmap is missing completely. So what is important, and how institutions, how this universities, how this various intellectuals, that they can support in developing this roadmap. There is a talk of, and then there's a body, autonomous body to be set up by the Act of Parliament, known as this Research Development National Research Foundation. There is a talk that this 20,000 crore is going to be allocated for that purpose, and this is going to fund this research in all kind of disciplines after having this peer-based review process. And then this is what again a talk that how this is going to be linked with researcher, government, and industry. And then there is a talk that how this science, technology, social sciences, art, and humanities are going to be covered. So these are the very good steps, but how this is going to be done? Now, this is open and distance learning is a very important area, and specifically in this COVID scenario, all education, by this kind of this critical situation has been converted into a kind of this blended mode, or this is online mode. And first time there is a clear-cut recognition that institutes, even 100 universities have been given permission. Further universities, they could have this 40% credit. This regular universities could have this 40% credit in a form of this online program. This UGC earlier talked, and then various kind of platform have been created. So here, this is what that institution will have the option to run open and distance learning ODL and online program, provided they are accredited to so. Now, there is no norm so far for ODL, and how and when these norms are going to be developed, obviously this is going to be a big challenge. So all these ODL programs leading to any diploma or degree will be of standard equivalent to the highest quality program offered by higher education institutions. Norms and standards that need a blended mode of learning that has to be preferred. This is again an emphasis. And then this for faculty, again, the US system has been emphasized more, that every institute should have a approach of this permanent employment, tenure based pathways, track system, and permanent employment. Tenure system is a very famous system in US universities. And then this continuous professional development plan by the faculty, and then this faculty empowered to make curriculum choices for their courses, pursue research and academic freedom. But again, this interesting part is this, that need that how these are going to be implemented. For that, what could be the roadmap and in what manner these challenges could be taken up? Internationalization is another area. This MOU with foreign universities will be signed. High-performing Indian universities, they are encouraged to set up their campuses outside countries. Means that this outbound foreign investment is permitted in higher education. And top 100 universities of the world, they could set up their campuses in India. And then here you see that the importance of this international credit transfer, international credit bank. This is going to be very, very important, that credit acquired in foreign institutions will be permitted. And then this there could be a mechanism to transfer credit of Indian students in foreign institutions. And then this technology is again a very important point which has been emphasized. So there is again a talk that how this National Educational Technology Forum will be created for a free exchange of ideas, use of technology to enhance learning, and how this is what that mostly this artificial intelligence, this is what that this blockchain that could be adopted for the purpose of this assessment, planning, administration, and then how this appropriate integration of technology at all level that could be done. So in my opinion, all these ideas, all these suggestions definitely are making Indian education, higher education system and professional education more and more dynamic, more and more liberal. There is a thinking, there is a approach, but what is most important part, that how and when and in what manner this roadmap is going to be prepared, because we have seen in past that most of the things, they are going to be in files, and then this bureaucracy is going to be very powerful, and we have seen this kind of bureaucracy in most of the this organizations, and then very lofty ideas, as well as this approach is going to be stifled in a file of bureaucrats. So basically, how academicians they can support, and how academicians they can demand that implementation, and how they can suggest a right kind of roadmap. This is the biggest challenge in my opinion. Thank you, sir, for providing me this opportunity and giving me a time.
Dr. Raj Agarwal, sir, thank you very much. I'm really happy that you really brought forward the challenges which are going to come, because we all are thinking it's going to be something very fancy and it's all rosy. It's not the case. This policy looks also like a wish list. Especially, I can tell you on behalf of the foreign universities which I represent in this country, it looks like a fantastic collage of all the wish list items put together. But you rightly said the execution, the implementation is something which everybody is looking at, and we all have a role to play in that. So thank you very much for your views, Dr. Agarwal.
Thank you.
So finally, we have a very senior person who is a creative, innovative design thinker, and Shri Rajiv Mishra, sir, I have been waiting to listen to you. We have a common connect also, Shri late Trilochan Chhaya, sir. And I have heard about you from him. Atre, Deepal, all are my friends. So I know that you have taught them before.
Yes.
So with that, let me introduce you. And your CV is very impressive. So I'm going to just pick up the finer elements from your experience as an architect, as an urban planner. But to the audience, I must tell you, you represent one of the finest creative technical institutions in this country, the prestigious Sir JJ College of Architecture for the last 12 years. And we know what kind of talent you all produce from this school. You yourself have been a trained architect, work and beneficiary of scholarships from the Netherlands government, Rothman School, housing. Your profile is amazing. I'm not reading everything, sir. So my apologies, but the work you have been doing as a director in your institution, you've been appointed as the chairman and the All India Board of Architectural Education for very long tenures, 2010 to 2013, 13, 16, worked on the NAP platforms. I have no words, so I'm reading it, sir, that way. But having said that, sir, most important, you have worked on areas of sustainability, and there are very few sustainability schools in this country. People are talking today about design thinking, creativity, innovation, looks very fantastic. But we are really glad to have you here to give your views on how this national education policy generally is going to impact professional studies. And why I'm saying this, when I interact with professional education schools like yours, the main concern in architecture, engineering, or medicine or design schools is what the students have a very rigid fixed mindset till the time they reach to your classrooms after 12th grade. And I think this policy opens doors for student learners to really experience what they could study further. That's what we see in US also. First you know what you want to study, do some small internships during school days or something. Maybe you want to be an aeronautic engineer or you want to be an automobile engineer. Go to Mahindra and Mahindra and see what the engineer does. And I think this policy provides that flexibility for innovation and experimenting before you commit to a 4-year or a 6-year architecture or an engineering or a medicine program, I think. So, sir, your views on the creative side of things is what we are looking at, how it impacts. So, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Samir ji. It is a great opportunity for me to be among the galaxy of speakers. I would like to begin to thank Aditya Group of Institutions and Adharaniya Gopal Shetty for giving us platform to interact with all the other renowned speakers. Most of the facets and parameters of national education policies have been covered by the previous speakers. And I think I would begin by saying that architecture as a profession, I have been teaching and in an architecture school and an art school. And the purpose of architecture and art has been always multidisciplinary. It has been trying to amalgamate many subjects to one place. And the purpose of architecture has been always to open up the minds. And I think national education policy that has come now and being implemented is a great blessing to the profession of architecture and the profession of art. I would like to state that in spite of having 1,000 universities in India, about 40,000 independent standalone institutions, our new policy actually provides framework of achieving the fusion between the search for your dream, which we all do, and pursue your intellectual passion. I think for the first time, the student-centric policy has come in. And I would be very happy to decode this new education policy my way, because for the first time, it talks about how to think rather than what to think. I think it impresses people upon this idea that you should learn how to think so that you can achieve what you want. And for the first time, I also see that our education policy is giving a lot of emphasis on making up of the mind. All the other time we were talking about making up of career, your stages of education, what will you do after this, after that. But I guess this idea, this genuine idea of a physics graduate, he studies music in college, takes a gap, does some internship, goes abroad, comes back, and then understands what is the reality around and joins back to do his post-graduation or his PhD. I think that is wonderful for any student. I think this concept of singular stream like art, science is now going to become a homogeneous policy. And I think the way Professor Mehta explained the academic bank credit is wonderful. For the first time, there is this notion of educational currency. You use educational degrees and your education time in your institution as a currency, and then you use it as and when you want, invest it, put it together, develop interest on it, and then come up with new ideas. So I think this notion of a physical campus or geographical location is now going to be dissolved. The other idea which I feel is this merger, which I think Professor Agrawal brought in very well, is this model of education which will be a blended model. You know, it's like a regular module and an online module, and it will help you to think that lifelong learning is the greatest enabler, and you continue to keep on learning. So, to time limit to complete education will change, and the option of multi is a wonderful thing to happen in a student's life and career. You know, I would like to say something here about the integration of the subject art in the school education after the mid-school career. You know, it is said that if you use art as an integrated subject while learning, you perform better. So anything who's in a situation, or any student who is in a situation to draw what he is thinking, he has to stop rote learning. He doesn't have to memorize. He can actually draw. And after he has drawn what he has thought about in a conceptual form, he can actually describe it and write down answers in a very lucid. So I think integration of art, integration of vocational subjects so that the mind starts thinking in a totally different gear is wonderful. I'm very happy to know from Shetty ji that he is a turner, welder, fitter, and he understands all the mechanical composition of how to put a machine in a place, and therefore think in a totally different manner. I think the lateral thinking process is being celebrated in the new education policy. In architecture, the Council of Architecture actually proposed an exit policy. It gave an opportunity to architecture students that instead of doing 5 years of architecture and you realizing that architecture is a profession which is what you don't like to pursue, you can actually take the benefit of an exit policy after 3 years. So you will get Bachelor of Building Science. You will not do Bachelor of Architecture. You might not end up becoming an architect and a registered professional. But after doing 3 years of architecture, you get a Bachelor in Building Science, after which you can do Masters in Management, you can do Masters in Civil Engineering, you can do Masters in any other subject that you wish to add to your profile. I think this idea of becoming student-centric, understanding various economic situations of the country is going to play a major role. So finding a new way to offer choices, I think to student is being able to give him to chart out his own journey based on the chosen destination. I think NEP is a great leap that is going to bring into the minds of the people. The policy will provide framework for achieving right fusion between this thinking and this academic bank of credit is going to play a very big role. But I also agree with Mr. Agrawal and Kavita Lagate, and that is about the implementation process. You know, we have a lot of people working in education department who interpret the policy their own way. So I think the implementation method in this policy has to be cleared so that the people who otherwise will interpret it their way is absent. This amalgamation of AICTE, UGC coming up to become a single regulatory authority in former Higher Education Commission of India should not create a confusion. Actually, a single regulatory authority should make it homogeneous. It should basically create a competitive environment and make people realize that education is something to be enjoyed in order to achieve what is it that you wanted to achieve in your life and become a multidisciplinary. You should become multidisciplinary in your approach of thinking, and you should become valuable to the society. I think today the economy is hungry for multiple talented people, and this is what this national education policy does. You can have an architect who can do a minor in economics and therefore do a better planning of buildings. He can do a better land management. He can do a better land use plan. And therefore, with multiple thought processes due to his ideas and interest to learn various subjects while he is studying his major subject, is going to create a revolution in the society. I strongly feel that this policy should be immediately implemented, and it should not waste any more time, because we do not have enough time. People think that they have enough time to do it in 10 years. They think that they can take another 15 years to see to it that it happens. I think there's a great urgency, and I think autonomy to the universities, autonomy to the colleges, autonomy of independent thinking is what is going to bring a change that is much needed in the academic environment and also in the society. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity, but I think my major interest in this decoding of the national policy is bringing in art as a subject that will change the thinking dimension and make people think better. So what I'm trying to say is a mechanical engineer who can draw is a better mechanical engineer. A doctor who can draw is a better doctor. A lawyer who can draw is a better doctor. And this is what national education policy does. So I look forward to an amazing time ahead, and I wish that this happens as soon as possible. I would request Adaraniya Gopal Shetty ji to share our dreams and share our anxiety and share our looking forward to this national policy being implemented at the earliest. Thank you very much.
Fantastic, Rajiv sir, to share your views from a creative, artistic point of view. And as we have been seeing this, you know, generally this policy also encourages that spirit, but globally what we are seeing, people who have finesse in arts and liberal studies and mixed mediums are the guys who are successful. You know, it's not only the management students who are successful or the engineers who are successful. In fact, there is a very prominent concept, friends, which this policy embodies, which is known as the T-shaped learning person. You know, he's not a specialist in one thing. He knows marketing, right, finance, HR, engineering, but he also understands creativity, design thinking, communication skills, collaboration skills. So this is what the policy looks like. So with this, thank you very much. And thanks a lot to the Aditya Group of Institution, my very, very dear friend Ashish Mishra, the director of the institute, Sunita ji, Manoj sir, and all our panelists, Gopal Shetty sir, for giving that entire localized feel on how this will apply to the real people who are going to be consumers of this policy. And Kavita madam, from the management perspective, DP Mehta sir, you have been into this and you have a role to play in the university and to get these things going. So thanks for your time. Rajiv Agarwal sir, your experience, and you really, I really felt that we understood the policy in 10 minutes, what we couldn't understand that day when it was launched, you know, over 360 degrees view which you have given. And friends, with this, my just two small concluding remarks, the top 100 universities coming to India, people in this country studying lifelong, the way of work, how people are going to, the future of studies and future of works, nano size programs, pocket size programs, life expectancy in our country going up. See, at the and tomorrow we have an Independence Day. But when we had our pre-Independence Day, the life expectancy was around 45, 55-year-old. And today, after 50, 60 years, we are almost at 65 years of life expectancy. And this is going to continue to grow. We are going to have healthy, old people who will be in the workforce. And I think this policy has the spirit to keep people learning, upgrading, and earning livelihoods as they continue. So thank you very much, everybody, and wish you a very happy Independence Day. Thank you very much.